Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to change it up a little bit in this video, and we are going to make a card. I don't make a lot of cards, I will say. This is probably not my area that I do a lot in. I do have to make occasional cards, and so I might pull one out and do one, but again, it's not something I focus on other than around Christmas time, where I do a card making workshop with some of my customers. And so today is sort of a deviation from what I've done in the past on my channel. So we are still working on the July-August catalog. It's still our current catalog, and we are still going to be working with the Cape Cod collection, which is the featured collection for this month of July. And we are going to be working on the Cape Cod card making stamp set. So this stamp set is one that I did buy. I was one of the first things I saw, and I really liked it, and I really wanted to use it. So this is going to be the stamp set we're going to use, and we are going to be playing around a little bit like you see here with colors. We're going to be playing around with color patterns, sapphire and bluebird and periwinkle. You can probably see in this one, looks like it's sapphire and probably periwinkle, or even bluebird and periwinkle, with toffee as the sand. So toffee is going to be our base for most of this. Then this one looks like it's lagoon and periwinkle. So we're going to play with those two. So again, taking a look and recreating those two cards. But in addition, I've gotten some great inspiration from a lot of other makers around colors and what we can do. And so making a sunset using candy apple and Sundance, or making a sunset with mulberry and wisteria and grape. So we're going to try these out. We're going to see if we can make a sunset kind of idea with these card bases. So what I'm going to be doing is taking some standard colors, and then I've cut some white daisy and some French vanilla. So we do have this off-white color, and hopefully you can kind of see the difference between those. Hopefully my camera is picking up a little bit. You can kind of see a difference there. But hopefully that will make sense, and see how we can play with those colors. And then I've just cut some bases that we can put onto an A2 size card. Again, I probably won't make the card. We're going to be mostly focusing on using color and playing around with color and playing around with this stamp set. The other thing that we also are going to play around with a little bit here is going to be with embossing powder and embossing ink. So the white embossing powder, we do have embossing pens that I did try out, as well as the Versamark ink pad. And hopefully I did show all those. There you go. And what I did is I was playing around with color. Again, you can see I'm just taking scraps of paper and I'm playing around with color here. I played around with the embossing pens, trying to make waves, and it turns out I didn't like it. I used a thicker pen from the embossing. There are 3 pens. There's a fine tip, a brush pen, and then a broad tip. And I'm not a very good artist. Yeah, I have to play around with things. So I didn't really like that. But then I had this brilliant idea while I was sleeping. Well, not while I was sleeping, obviously, but while I was awake, is that there are birds that are part of this stamp set. And I thought, oh, what if I turn those over? They would look like waves. And so I tried that out, and lo and behold, they look like waves, and I'm so much happier with that. So we're going to play around with that as well. So let me clean up my desk, and then I will be right back, and we will start mixing colors and seeing how this all comes together. All right. So I've set everything up on my table here. I did flip over my Versamat, and my Versamat is on the spongy side. Remember, the Versamat has 2 sides, the side that has the grid, and then there's a spongy side for stamping, and so I've pulled that out. I've put my stamps on individual blocks so that I don't have to keep pulling them off and putting them back on. And again, we're using this Carkmaking, Cape Cod card making set. And the goal is to play around with color, right? And to work with various different colors to see if we can create this beautiful beach scene. So toffee is going to be the color that I'm going to use for the sand. And then we're going to be playing around with the two other colors that are part of, that are the other part of this scene. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up the sand here. Now, toffee is a nice rich color. You can go ahead and use second generation on this as well, and so we might do that. I might pull out a piece of scratch paper and we can play with second generation. But I'm inking it up really well, and then I'm just trying to make sure that I'm straight. The only problem I had with this stamp set is sometimes I went a little bit crooked when I was stamping, and so that's just something to be aware of. When you're doing this, try and make sure that you're fairly straight when you're lining this up. All right, so that's our sand, that's our toffee. And then if we go back to our catalog and look at the colors, we're going to go ahead and recreate this one. I'll just maybe put this over to the side here. We're going to recreate this one. And so the next color that I think this is Bluebird. So actually it is Bluebird. Sorry, we do tell you down here. This one is Bluebird and Periwinkle. So we're going to start with the Bluebird, and we're going to grab our water, and we're going to stamp this. Now this will overlap slightly, so I'm going to get my hand in that if I'm not careful. So hold on, I'm going to re-ink that a little bit more. So you can overlap this. You don't want to leave too much of a gap. Honestly, with this, you do want to make sure that you're giving a little bit of overlap, and that's a nice deep rich color there with Bluebird. And then I'm going to just clean off that stamp. And then the third color in this is that Periwinkle. So we're going to take the sky, which is this one, and we're going to go ahead and do this in Periwinkle. So I think this is a really rich and beautiful color combination. Again, I can tell I was a little bit crooked on that last one. Again, just making sure I'm inking that well, and then we're going to put that down. And I am leaving it to sit there for a minute so that ink can really soak in. And now we have that beautiful sky. And I was a little bit crooked on that, but that's okay. We'll make that work. So this was the combination of toffee, Bluebird, and Periwinkle. So those three colors giving us this really nice combination of blues and tans. So the next thing I'm going to do is I actually want to create those waves. So I want to show you how to do that. So what I've done is I've taken, again, and it's kind of hard to see, but I've taken the birds that are part of the stamp set, which normally you would stamp with the birds flying, but we're going to actually turn it over to make the waves. And I'm going to just lightly go into my Versamark pattern. I'm going to make sure my birds are upside down, and I'm going to just come in and create some waves. It's really hard to see this when you're stamping, but actually I found that that was actually better because I was overlapping those waves kind of like you see in real life. So I'm not really sure where I just stamped. I just know that I stamped 5, 6, 7 of those. Again, as many waves as you want. And then we are going to go ahead and take our white embossing powder. And we are going to go ahead and emboss this. So I'm going to just bring over a piece of scrap paper so that I can sprinkle my embossing powder on this. And if you've never done embossing, it's a kind of a fun way to add texture and life to a card. Again, the white embossing powder is going to make it white. If you have clear embossing powder, it's going to let the colors show through that are underneath. Or if you're using a colored ink, it's not going to change the color of the ink. So there is actually a little bit of extra embossing powder on here because I did not use my anti-static pouch. And I'm just looking, I don't see my little paintbrush handy here in my tool case, so I might have it out someplace else, but it's okay. It'll work out just fine. And then I'm going to get my heat gun and I'm going to emboss this. So there's going to be a little bit of noise. I'm going to grab my tweezers so that I can get my fingers out of the way. And I'm going to hold it with my tweezers. And I'm going to start from the bottom. It does take a second for the heat gun to warm up. So I'm going to start from the bottom. Let's see if we can get this close. And then we're going to go to the top. And what we're trying to do is we're just trying to melt that powder. And what you'll see it change as you go, as you get it hot enough that it will go to white. So from a powdered look to a solid white look. And again, just double checking that I got it all. I know it's kind of hard to see, the heat gun is in the way. But that melted all of that embossing powder, and hopefully you can see how those birds turned upside down make great waves, right? It was just something that came to me. I didn't even think about it until I started looking at it. I was like, oh my gosh, that would be great. All right, so let's go ahead and use the birds again, but let's use them the right way. So I'm going to just take, I actually think I'm going to take the sapphire. I'm going to take the sapphire and I'm going to turn the birds now the correct direction, the correct way, and we're going to just add a few birds to this, just like that. Again, clean up my stamp. And then we're going to go back into our colors, and we're actually going to use mocha for the fence. So this fence that's here, we're going to use mocha. And I need to grab my other, I am missing one of my pieces here. Okay, so we're going to grab this fence and we are going to put that on our block. So we're just going to add that to our block. And again, with this is mocha. So we did toffee and now we're doing mocha, two browns. We're going to go ahead and ink that up. And we're going to add our fence in mocha. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to add some of the greenery, right? We want to add the tufts of grass, and we're going to do that with pine. That's our next color. And I'm going to grab another block for that. This block is actually going to be retired. This block is the 1 by 1.5, and I love this size. So I bought some extras so that I didn't. So that I always had them on hand. It's one of my favorite sizes. All right, so I'm going to do the tufts of grass in pine, and I'm going to just do a few of these randomly. You can do second generation to make them seem like there's a few kind of around. And now we have our card base. The last thing that we can add is a sentiment, and the sentiment that they used here is the thank you sentiment, which is, again, probably for me, the primary cards that I make are thank you cards. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that sentiment, and I'm going to go ahead and add that. Now, assembling cards is really simple. I'm not going to kind of spend the time to do that on this particular video. But I will add some assembled cards at the end as some pictures that you can see of assembled cards. But I'm not gonna assemble them today. So again, just pulled out the sapphire and put the thank you there, and essentially I have a completed card. Now I can add some embellishments to this once I put it together. I can create some additional bling that I can put on, and then I can choose my card, what I want to back this with. So they've backed it with some of the patterned paper. I'll probably come in and get some solid papers, and I'll just look and see, oh, okay, do I like that as a backing? Or maybe I'll pull out the Capri, right? I think I actually like the Capri with this one a little bit better. So I will take the Capri, and then I will back that, and then I'll attach it to my card base. Let me just pull out a card base. So this is a card base. And I might add some patterned paper around behind that as well, or I may just do some line detail, again, creating this card. So it's pretty simple using this stamp set to create that. And like I said, I love the idea of creating those waves. I thought it was actually quite brilliant of me to think of that. All right, so that's card number 1. Card number 2 is exactly the same thing. Only difference is that they have created a banner to put the sentiment, thinking of you during this hard time. So again, the process was almost exactly the same, other than showing you how to put the waves in. But that again is some of the same ideas. So what I wanted to move on to now is actually to play around with the colors a little bit more. Trying to create more of a sunset scene versus the daytime scene. So I'm going to start with toffee again. We'll pull that one out. We're going to, again, just keep it simple with the colors on the base and just stay with toffee. Again, you could do mocha and maybe do second generation mocha. You could do some other colors for the sand, depending on what kind of sand you have around you. But we'll stick with this, again, toffee. Lay that down. I do love this stamp set because it has texture to it, so I don't have to worry about adding extra texture. All right, I think we're going to do the sapphire for the water this time, and then we're going to play with the sponge daubers that you see on my desk right here, because what I want to do is I want to layer up some of these colors. I want to layer up the purples. I want to layer up the oranges to create a more sunset-like scene. So I am going to clean this off just in case I have some residual ink on it. And we are going to pull out, I think we're going to pull out the purples. So I've got mulberry, wisteria, and grape. And we are going to play around with this a little bit. So when you're layering colors, you need to start with the lightest color first and then go to the darker colors. That's important. Otherwise, you will get the darker colors in the lighter colors. So I think on this one, just looking at this, I think we'll do mulberry at the top. Now there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can take your stamp and you can go in and kind of lay in the color at the top, right? You can just, especially if you're doing a multi-layer, but you might run into problems as you get to the middle and to the bottom. So you can do the middle bottom, but not necessarily the center. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up really well. And then I'm going to do Grape, and that's going to be my bottom color. So I'm going to go ahead and go in like that and make sure we get that all inked up. Okay, so I did mulberry at the top and I did Grape at the bottom, and now I'm going to come in with a dauber and I'm going to pick up the wisteria, and I'm going to add that onto this stamp. I'm just trying to make sure that I get some really good coverage. And then I'm kind of blending it into the other two colors. Okay, so I think I'm good there. I'm actually going to go back into the Grape a little bit because my Grape is separating slightly. So I'm going to just go in again on the Grape. All right. And now we're going to stamp this. So again, Grape was on the bottom, mulberry was at the top, and wisteria was in the middle. And you can see I didn't quite get enough of the wisteria on there, right? But that's okay. Okay. If I was doing this maybe with a stamping platform, I might have gone back in and colored that. And I might just go ahead and try and do a little bit more and see if I can get it lined up. This is where sometimes a stamping platform like a Misty is really helpful. And maybe we'll pull that out for the next one that we do, so that you can line up anything that you need to re-ink and ink it again. That looks upside down. I think that was like that. So again, just going in. I'm a little bit off, but I think that works. I think that looked good. I think I actually got a good job of getting it lined up again. So now we've got this much different kind of look. We've got much more of a sunset kind of look with this one. Now I would say that, you know, as I'm practicing on pieces that are small, and if I don't like something, or if something doesn't line up the way that this lined up, and I wasn't happy with it, remember, you can always flip it over and go again, right? Maybe I don't really like the mulberry at the top, right? I can say, oh, okay, I don't like that. I can flip this panel over, and honestly, nobody is going to know, because when you flip it over, you are essentially going to adhere this to the bottom of something else, so it's not going to show up. So let's go back and let me show you, since I have the opportunity, though. Has it ever happened to you? You're working with something, disappears from your desk, even though it was right there just a minute ago? Yeah, that's me. All the time. Can't seem to find something that I just had. All right, so let's do this, and let's play around with this color a little bit more, and maybe let's see. I think I want to try the Bluebird. Let's do the Bluebird. I like the Sapphire, but the Sapphire was a little bit dark. So let's do the bluebird. Yeah, I think I like that one better. It's a little bit more, has a little bit more brilliance to it. Okay, so I did on this side, I liked the purple. I like the mulberry, but I'm not sure I liked the purple and I like the wisteria, but I'm not sure I like the mulberry. The mulberry to me, I don't know, just not doing it for me. So let's go ahead and pull the mulberry out and let's see, what other color could we add? Let's see, let's do Capri. Maybe Capri would work. So if we do grape, mulberry, Capri. So coming back to our stamp, I'm going to start with the grape at the bottom. And there isn't really a bottom or top to this stamp. You can choose to do it either way. My feeling is there's really no top or bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. And I think I want the Capri at the top this time. And again, Laura Beecham is the one that really inspired me to play around with this. She's another maker out of Australia. I believe it's Australia. And she just loves playing around with color. And she's the one that kind of came up with some of these combinations. And so I was actually wanting to try this as something that I might like to do. So again, I'm playing with some different combinations of colors than she had, but the idea came from some of her inspiration. And again, I'll probably go back in on that purple or on the grape because it's just trying to make sure I've got enough coverage here with all these colors. Okay, hopefully we've got enough of that on there. Come back into the Capri, just to make sure. Got that one. And then the grape. So think about your sunsets. Think about what your sunsets look like, right? What do your sunsets look like in your area? Can you create a sunset kind of based off of something you saw? We had a sunset recently at our house that was really brilliant pinks, like all pinks. It was just crazy, the colors on it. And so I was really excited by that. Okay, so now there's another example. Again, I didn't get it quite inked enough, so it might be something that I would, again, bring my stamping platform out for, but I do think that I like that one a little bit better than I like this one. So again, I'm going to flip it over. I'll use this side. Maybe I'll use the toffee or, oops, I cut that one too small. Maybe the harbor. This is harbor. That one might work really nice, right? As a combination. Again, I can add additional pieces to it, meaning I can add birds into this, etc., to finish that one off. All right, so that's one sunset. Now let's maybe take this and go with reds, pinks, and yellows versus purples, right? That's another common sunset color. So I've got candy apple red, I've got Sundance, I've got the toffee again for the base, and then let's just see what other color. I do have ballerina, but I don't have my flamingo with me. I'm just gonna look. Wonder if we can do the raspberry. Might be too bright. The raspberry might be a little bit too bright. So I think we'll hold on the raspberry. But again, play. It's just paper. Just paper, people. So you don't have to, if you throw away this is a 3 1/4 by 4 inch piece of paper. If you end up throwing away a 3 1/4 and 4 inch piece of paper, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so again, play around, enjoy, have fun. Mix your colors. See what colors you have in your stash. That sangria might look really nice with those, with that. I might try that sangria, just looking at it. Again, I'm playing around, right? Just playing around. And for the water this time, let's go with Capri for the water this time. So we'll grab the water. I don't know if I clean this off. Let me clean it off from the Bluebell. And we'll add that. Okay. And we will now play around with, so I'm going to start with the candy apple. I think the candy apple to me needs to go at the very bottom. Just a little touch of that red. And then I think this is where we're going to play even a little bit more. I think I've got Sundance. We're going to put some Sundance just above that. Again, thank you, Laura, for some ideas. All right. And then maybe we'll do the sangria. Like that. I think I need to put a little, well, no. Let's see, let's go back. Let's do just a little bit more candy apple. And I did get some on the edge of my block, so I'm going to clean that up so that I don't mess up my card. And we will put this down and see how we like this. Okay. So again, probably didn't get enough of that Sundance on there. Probably could have done a little bit more Sundance to get it a little bit more vibrant, but this is where a stamping platform probably, like I said, would come into play, and mine's just not. Actually, I have my little stamping platform. Let's try that. All right, so we'll pull in one more, and we're going to do one more card. So we'll start with the top part. So I just cleaned that. So we're going to lay that down first. And I think I'll put this down here. So we'll pick that up just like that. Okay. And we're going to go ahead. I have candy apple here. Candy apple, there we go. We're going to use our daubers and we're going to try this again. See if we can get some good color here. So the nice thing about the stamping platform is that ability to stamp in the exact same place multiple times. And since we're doing multiple colors, sometimes that's much easier to do. All right, so that was my candy apple. Now we're going to do the Sundance. Make sure we get that nice and inked up. Try and get a lot of color on the stamp. Okay. And then the last one is the sangria. And I'm pretty sure I don't have a sangria guy here, so we're going to add that to the top. Okay. And stamp that. I do recommend with the stamping platform that you have some sort of, I lost mine. Again, like I said, everything that I usually have out handy is sometimes not at my fingertips. So this one, again, it looks like I need more Sundance. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the Sundance, and we're going to ink that up again. Doesn't look like I need any more candy apple or sangria. So we're just going to try and brighten up that Sundance a little bit. Get some more ink on there. Just through that center piece. All right, let's try that. Let's see if that will give us a little bit brighter. And it could be we're using the wrong color, right? Maybe if you're looking at the colors, you know, and you're looking at the yellows, maybe we should have done lemonade. Maybe a lemonade would have been brighter, right? So you can look through your color swatches, look through your inks and see what might be a better color. Still not getting all the color I want on this. So we're going to do one more. It's that middle section that's not getting it the way I want it. Okay. Right. All right. Again, I'm trying to get enough transfer. Okay, that looks a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Kind of like that one better. So again, I would say stamping platform would be a good technique to use with this versus maybe just trying to do it on your own. Again, Sundance, looks like my Sundance is getting, my little pad is getting a little bit color messed up, so I might change. It looks a little bit muddier than Sundance normally is, so I might go in and get, you know, a clean one instead of using that one that's getting messed up. But again, I'd rather mess up one of these guys than mess up my whole stamp pad. So again, the stamping platform is another option here that you can use. I would still probably stay with the Capri. So again, we don't need this really anymore. Coming out from using the stamping platform, I would ink up, this is Capri. And then the toffee for the sand. Might come in and do my embossing, just like I did for the other, the first one that we had. Mocha again would be for my fence. So same idea. Let's put it on the other side this time. So there's my fence, and pine for my grass. Let's switch up the grass maybe and use the bigger grass. Set that behind there. Like that. Maybe do a second generation of the grass. You could put the little ones on too. Like that. And then all you need is a sentiment. Let's see, the birds. Birds definitely, I think, again, should be in sapphire. So we'll put the birds the correct way up in sapphire. There we go. And we can do another thank you. So I'll have another thank you card almost all ready to assemble. Now, what I'll probably do is I'll keep these in my stash so that I can easily put out and then add a backing to it. So again, the backing is going to be one of these colors. So I might assemble this, like, I think in this case, I'll either use the Sundance ink, I'll use the Sundance background, or I'll use the toffee background. I don't think it goes really with the glacier background. It's okay, and it's okay on that, but I think toffee is going to be the winner on this one. All right, so we've made a few different cards bases, or card toppers, essentially, using this stamp set. We did the blues using Bluebird and Periwinkle, and then we did the embossing using the birds from the stamp set upside down. Then we did the purples, right? So we did the graduated purples there for a sunset, and then the last one is the reds and yellows and oranges on the last one. So hopefully you got a couple of ideas of color combinations of things that you can do, ways that you can use the stamp set, and hopefully you will try the embossing using the birds upside down. If you have any questions about the colors or the sizes, please put a comment down below. I'll be happy to answer that, or any color combinations that you might want me to put out there. I'll be happy to do that as well. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button down below. And lastly, everything that I've used, I will link down below so that you have all of the supplies that I used today. Have a great one, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.